Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Tom. How's it going?
Well, Tony, before we get into the subject of today's show, I just want to be the first one to say, Connor Hawkins. Tony, how are you?
I'm going to start the show again so that I can say, no, welcome, everybody. We are talking about everybody's favorite subject, Ohio State special teams, and something that if Ohio State could have a special teams weapon, who are the most likely weapons to be? We've talked a little bit about, remember, we were reminiscing about the Jim Tressel era and even the Urban Meyer era, with Paris Campbell returning kicks. But when you talk a lot about the Jim Tressel era, it's just like, sure, there were things that were not great to watch and were not always fun and did not always lead to the best rewatch of a game. 12-7, yes, it is fantastic once, and not even once. But all of the talk that we did about Ted Ginn, adding Ted Ginn to today's game, man, it's a portion of the game that Ryan Day has said he takes seriously. It's a third of the game. They brought in Robbie Disher to help the special teams as the new coordinator. Before we get into Connor Hawkins, I just think the return game is something that could be a weapon. And talking with Robbie Disher about it in the spring, when he said, I asked him about kickoff returns, do you believe in them, basically? And the answer is, you've got these kinds of players at Ohio State. Why would you not utilize them? He said, it's just like an offensive play. Basically, it's taking a knee. But if you give Ohio State coaches an option to take a knee and advance 7 yards or, advance to the first down, of course, all we're going to do is take knees. And that's kind of what the fair catch rule is. It just puts the ball to 25. And so why risk it? Tom, why risk it is because you've got stellar athletes who can make something happen. I think this is one of those things that is worth the risk. And the bad thing that can happen is you start at the 17 instead of the 25. And if those 8 yards kill your drive, then you're not that good to begin with.
I mean, you could have turnovers. I guess there's a little bit of how secure do you feel with guys catching the ball and guys hanging on to the ball. That's really kind of the downside you're talking about here. And if you trust your guys, then yeah, you're going to take your shot there, I think. In the past, it has been generally they have put the guy back there on punt returns, for example, who is the guy who will catch the ball, because it doesn't matter. The offense is so good that the offense is going to score whether they have to go 57 yards or 52 yards or 45 yards, they're going to score. So it doesn't really matter. That's sort of been the philosophy. And when you're playing Rutgers, when you're playing Purdue, when you're playing some of the bad UCLA teams or whatever, Northwestern, that's fine. And you're going to be able to win no matter what, and it's going to be fine. When you're playing what they call matchup games, and they have almost half of the schedule this year is matchup games where you go in and it's not when we get in the car to go drive to the away game, we already know that it's going to be a winning post-game press conference, and it's just a matter of by how much. There's been a lot of years when it's been virtually every game has been like that. This year, it's not so much. So then you're looking for some, you probably still have a talent advantage over many of these teams, but you have to kind of capitalize on those small advantages and try and make a big play with one of those small advantages.
Well, and it comes down to philosophy, I think, where is the advantage getting the ball to 25 and not screwing something up. We're slightly better, so let's just make sure we stay slightly ahead and we'll be okay. Or we need to utilize these weapons so that slightly better becomes much better if plays are made. And it's the same kind of philosophy that we talked about last year in terms of turning the offense on. Well, can you turn it on during the postseason when you need it? Well, maybe. Can you turn your return game on when you need it? Maybe. I mean, they got the kickoff return last year for Lorenzo Styles. So was that just a matter of we're really going to hammer it this week and we'll get it done? Because that was a kickoff taken from 3 or 4 yards deep, which doesn't happen. And so they had put some work in on it, and all of that work you don't want to go to waste. You don't want it just to be lost time. You're spending that time. The message is we're going to do this. And you got to give Lorenzo or whomever the freedom to be like, go ahead and bring it out. And I like that kind of philosophy, but I also understand generally don't bring it out of your own end zone, because even a 20-yard return puts you at the 17 or 18 like that. You've put yourself behind the sticks a little bit. But Tom, in terms of who is going to be a special team standout, I want to discuss who that could be in the return game, because I'll go ahead and let Legend Bay do it, provided the security is there, because that's the big thing. I don't know that I'm going to ask him to do punt returns at this point, but I have no problem letting him catch kickoffs and seeing what he can do and reading the blocks and using his speed as arguably the fastest Buckeye on the team. Go for it. Hit it full speed. You're trying to find touches for him. Here's 1 or 2 a game possibly that would be free.
And if the person back there is a real legitimate threat, then you're kind of encouraging teams to just kick it out the back of the end zone, which is not a bad outcome for you. But yeah, he would have been the first name I was going to list here as well. And there's a lot of if that goes on to this. As you said, ball security. Ball security is number one. We didn't get a chance to see all that much of him. We heard a whole lot of positive about him out of the spring and saw some, but it was all very, very early. And then he tweaked his hamstring and that was it for the spring. But what we saw out of him when he was there was a lot of Carlos Loughlin talking to him about holding the ball high and tight. And that is a ball security thing. And if they can trust that you can do that and you're going to hang on to the football when you get hit, then yeah, shoot your shot. Absolutely. It's worth, if there's a 1 in 20 shot of him returning a kickoff for a touchdown, or a 1 in 30 shot of him returning a kickoff for a touchdown, then if there's a 1 in 5 shot of him losing, and you get the ball to 20 instead of 25, yeah, that's probably a trade-off you're going to make most times. That the risk is worth the reward, or the reward is worth the risk in that case. But there's a lot of if and stuff that we just don't know. And I don't know that the coaching staff really, truly knows yet, because you haven't had to do it. They do not practice kickoffs live very often, because that is the play that statistically is the most likely to have an injury if you're going full speed on a kickoff. That's the reason the NFL changed its kickoff rule recently. So it's just not something they practice that much. So I don't know how confident they are right now in he can, or maybe he's not the guy who's going to do it this fall.
Yeah, I asked Robbie Disher how much of that they've done in the spring, and he's like, well, we've blocked it. Like you do, there's like individual blocking drills that mimic it, but there's no actual kicking and returning of this. I'm not sure. Maybe I wonder what Kyle Parker could do as a punt returner, somebody that's maybe a little bit more explosive than Brandon Ennis. Because we've seen Brandon Ennis as the punt returner. I'm looking, can he be something more this year rather than just being the recipient of the punt, like KJ Hill and other guys since then? But Tom, Connor Hawkins, yeah, sure, right? This is a guy that I do think, and see if you agree with me, Tom, I think he's going to win a game for them this year.
I think almost certainly he is going to have the opportunity to win a game for them this year. You got 5 or 6 games that are at least potentially losable on the regular season schedule, which means odds are 1 or 2 of them is going to come down to the final minute or so, and you're in a position to win it, or the opposing team is in a position to win it. So yeah, of all the recent seasons, I think even in just the regular season, he's got a pretty good chance of winning it. And then as you get into the postseason and you're working in even more fine margin games, yeah, there is going to be a time this year where they are, down between 3 and 0 points, and he's lining up with just a few seconds left on the game clock.
And it's good. They get 4 points for a 50-yarder now, so that's great.
If you doink it in off of both upright, it's worth 5 points. No, it's not a rule, but it should.
No, it should be. And yes, and maybe one day, if the Protect College Sports Act gets its way, it's a little known clause they've thrown in there, the 5-point field goal. No, so there you go. Some thoughts on what we would like to see, what could be seen, at least what I would like to see, and what Tom thinks he's going to see. What would you guys like to see from the Ohio State special teams No, although Ted Ginn, does he have a year of eligibility remaining? Can they get an injunction to bring him back?
Does the year with the Aviators count or no?
He's just coaching. So that will do it from here. If you want to hit the thumbs up, if you're watching on YouTube, we'd appreciate that. If you've not yet subscribed to the Buckeye Insiders channel on YouTube, please do so. You can go to youtube.com/@BuckeyeInsiders and find it there. And of course, BuckeyeInsiders.com it's in the process of being built. And if you go there now, you can put your email address in, you can get an update on how things are going when we put that out. So that will do it from here. Thank you guys all for your patience, for your support, and for this thumbs up that you've just given us right now. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.